Hey guys, NovGeek123 here, and today I'm carrying on with the series named Road to Avengers 2020, which, if you do not know yet, is where I take a full-on look into Marvel video games from the year 2000 up to hopefully the Avengers game, which is releasing in September of this year. Well, the next game with a lot of information to get into is the Blade 2 game, which skips a fair few games from the early 2000s, but I couldn't really find much info on them, including to the sequel to the 2000 Spider-Man game and even a game I mostly grew up with, the 2002 Spider-Man game. This is also the reason why I also had to skip the original Blade game in this series as well. Let's just move on and let's have a look into Blade 2, the video game. Overall, Blade 2 is a 2002 action video game developed by Mucky Productions and was published by Activision for PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox. The game was originally meant to release alongside the American release of the movie, but it ended up releasing alongside with the American DVD release on September 3rd, 2002. Overall, the game is not a direct adaptation of the film, which is actually refreshing for these types of games.
Come on, man!
They actually do exist, but we'll get into you soon, hopefully. The game is overall actually set in between the Blade 2 and Blade Trinity movies, being set 6 months after the Blade 2 film. Gameplay wise, Blade 2 is an action beat 'em up game, played from a third party perspective, with the player controlling Blade's movements via left analog stick. The game primarily focuses overall on melee combat, but it does allow the use of firearms. The combat in the game is controlled by the right analog stick, which makes the player move their stick in the direction which they want to attack, and Blade punches and kicks in that direction, which means you cannot actually control how he actually attacks overall. Blade also can block chain attacks together into combos and perform finishes in this game. For example, as he grabs an enemy in a headlock, he drives a stake right into their head. A major feature in this game is the Rage mode, which charges up Blade's rage through 3 levels: Sword, Shield and Strength. If the player activates Sword, he'll take out his sword and use it for a limited amount of time. If he activates Shield, Blade will take out his sword and become invisible. And if the player activates Strength, Blade uses his sword, becomes invisible and increases his overall strength. If the player does decide to use firearms in the game, Blade is equipped with only a match pistol at the start of the game. But if the player advances in the game, they can unlock other weapons such as shotguns, a glaive, strong body armor, silver knuckles, UV grenades and serum to increase health. Overall, I really respect the way this game tried to reinvent how the gameplay would work in these types of games, but at times you just have to stick with the normal ways of video games, since overall the gameplay in this game can become either boring or even at times hard to me. Moving on to the story, the game opens up with Blade voiced by Tom Clark, not Wesley Snipes, and Whistler voiced by Don Salisapu, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but anyways, it's still not Chris Christopherson. Yeah, they must have been busy with the movie when it was getting made, fair enough. While the two receive information that a blood exchange is taking place between the Mafia outfit and a vampire clan in the parking lot of Carvock Towers, a possible vampire safe house. Blade then arrives just in time for the exchange, with a suited vampire disappearing into the tower, carrying a briefcase. According to the Whistler, the briefcase contains a vial of DNA and it must be recovered. Blade then fights through the tower, the underground car park and passes through the nightclub before destroying the computer mainframe of a vampire-run company named the Nif Phase. Eventually he does find the vampire with the briefcase, who then reveals the DNA is actually that of Damaskinos, the former overlord of the vampire nation, and a DNA sequencer is currently unraveling the DNA. Blade then is able to destroy the machine and then meets Whistler on the roof. Whistler then gives him a canister of poison, which Blade puts into his ventilation system, killing every vampire in that building. However, when they do return to their base, Blade and Whistler discover that their ally, Dr. Grant, voiced by Kate Magawan, who actually hasn't appeared in the films, and also is a completely different character who is male in the Marvel comics, has been kidnapped by Brian Vampire Clan, and following her GPS signal leads them to the subway station, where Blade fights his way through the vampires into sewers, where he is joined by Whistler, who plants a series of bombs. Blade then detonates the bombs and follows the sewers into Gauntmuir Asylum, where the Bryans have taken Grant. Blade then rescues her, and she explains that the vampires are torturing humans so that they can capture something named the Dark Energy, for an experiment that they have named Project Vorpal. Blade then escorts out of the building and returns to investigate Fourpal. He then discovers the vampires are using the dark energy to attempt to create a super vampire warrior that would be stronger than a Reaper. However, he is able to destroy the chamber, and Grant then reveals that the Arcan clan is really behind the project, not the Byrons. Blade then heads to the Arcan's mountain base. He then sneaks through the facility and destroys the dark energy storage chambers. He then meets up with Grant, who he escorts to the dark energy receiver. However, before she's able to take it offline, she's caught in an explosion. Then, when she dies, she tells Blade he must destroy the core. He then storms over there, meeting Whistler, who then plants small bombs, and the duo flee the base as they set off the bombs, destroying the core and putting an end to the project. Overall, I have mixed feelings about this game's story. I think it's a really good journey and a mini story to be set after the film, but just some parts in this feel rushed to me. Especially with, in my own personal opinion, Grant's exploration with Blade wasn't really well run out to me. Moving on to the development, the game was announced on January 22nd, 2001, when Activision revealed they have partnered with the UK-based developers Mucky Productions to produce a game for several unnamed next-generation consoles. On February 2nd, 2001, in an interview with IGN, the game's director Mike Diskett revealed the gameplay would be melee-based, but players could also have access to Blade's sword and firearms. He also explained that Mucky had pitched a video game to Activision called Skyships, explaining they passed on the project, but they were impressed with the company and offered them the Blade franchise. Then also explained that the combat system in the game would have originally been created for the Skyships game, and revealed that the game would be for PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox. The game was then unveiled on November 20th, 2001, when Activision announced that it was not going to be a direct adaptation of the film, but a standalone story which takes place after the events of the film. They also showed their control system at the time as well. The game was next shown at E3 in May 2002, where the rage system would be revealed. On May 23rd, IGN then published a full preview. Writer Jerry Dunham liked the idea of the combat system, but admitted he found it difficult to get used to. He also found the camera system had faults, often getting him stuck behind walls and doors, which yes, actually happened to me a lot as a kid. However, he did admit he found the capturing of the spirit of the game very well done, and that he was looking forward to seeing the final project. Then on June 20th, IGN published an interview with lead artist Finn Mucky, and he went into a full detail about the combat system, which was born from the developers' frustrations with games that allows players to lock onto a target at a time, and force them to manually switch when they want to attack someone else. IGN then published another preview on July 26. By this stage, the combat system had been finalised, but writer Hilary Goldstein was unconvinced by it. He critiqued the fact that the players could not control what attack Blade gave at the time, which actually kinda sucks thinking about it. He also criticised the lack of lock on during melee combat, and felt that the system is generally felt unfinished, which overall, as I said, the gameplay just isn't that good to me. But finally, the game was then released on 3rd of September alongside with Blade 2 on DVD. Overall, guys, this is a childhood game to me. I think I've just explained in stuff as well. Other than like Sonic games, I wasn't really much of a gamer as a kid. Honestly, I only had a couple exceptions on the PlayStation 2. I had random cheap games, or generally just games like this where it'll be superhero based, because my parents obviously knew I loved superheroes as a kid. And Blade 2, since the Blade franchise was very popular when I was younger, I eventually ended up getting a copy of this game, and I quite like the story. I like how they tried making a mini story, and again I felt it kind of got rushed in some parts, but overall that was great. The gameplay isn't that good to me, and overall by the development standards only really show what IGN thought of the game. It doesn't really show what they actually wanted other than what we found out in them interviews. But that's literally all the information we have about this game. If you guys think I missed out on some information in this, please comment down below. But whatever feedback you have to give, even feedback about this overall video, if you liked it or disliked it, resulting in if you liked the video, please like, and if you disliked the video, please dislike. It gives me feedback to improve. And if you've also been watching this type of content on my channel for a while now, please subscribe, it would honestly make my day. And for a last little promotion, if you want a 1 to 10 minute video edited for a cheap price, please head over to my Fiverr account. It's always in the description below, and I would love to create some content for you guys. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and peace.
Don't bust a nut yet, Fang Boy. I want that vial of blood.